Previously on Loonsville. We're not even done recording that yet. God.
You're censoring my rant about fucking, you're censoring me, man.
Oh, man. All right, so...
Just because I'm white and conservative doesn't mean you get to censor me.
I'm
not a conservative, by the way. I just figured it was funny.
We recorded
like
this all back to back, so there has been no gap in our time. But if you are watching this on the YouTubes, or maybe hearing it on the Anchor, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast needs met, there should have been some time passed long enough for you to watch Hocus Pocus 2, which we will now go into great detail on the plot of, and the story, and the things that happen, and how the movie plays out. And I'm just kidding, I'm not going to keep saying the same thing over and over in a different way.
I need to get on the putting it on Anchor thing. I haven't done shit.
Well, I mean, to be fair, I have not sent you the last part of the last 3 episodes that we did because I haven't finished editing it yet. So
yeah, I mean, I still haven't done shit.
I am excited to be able to get through these much quicker now that I have a mic that's not going to cut in and out, though.
Right.
I did notice that in my test audio when I put it into the editor that our volumes are both consistent and good, which is going to make this so much easier. Instead of having to spend like 3 hours editing fucking 45 minutes to an hour of recording, it will take me, about the hour that the recording is, because you have to listen to the entire thing in order to edit it. So
yeah,
it is what it is, but it should go fairly quickly.
Yeah, one thing I liked about the new Hocus Pocus is it didn't really like make a big deal about the virgin thing. They made a joke, and whenever they were able to light the candle, they're like, "But why did it?" And then they just made a face at each other, and there was no talk. And like, there's
you
no, like,
really like the not make. Were you made fun of a lot for being a virgin or something?
No, it just seemed weird.
I mean, you said that in the last part of this conversation also.
I know, I'm just continuing.
It's like your fucking keynote speech was, they don't make fun of virgins anymore today, and I like that.
Yeah, it just seemed a weird thing to do.
I'm sure in real life there are still stupid and shitty people out there that are making fun of people for just about anything, including being a virgin. But
yeah,
it is nice to see that it's not happening in mainstream media so much, or at all for that matter. And even something that goes back to a source material from an era where it was huge and widely used, they just kind of gloss right over it.
Yeah, and the other witch is less horny, which is kind of cool.
Sarah. Her name is the same as the actress's.
She's the horny witch, and that's what she'll always be, but she's less horny now.
Yeah, you got Buffy, you got the horny witch, and you got, Hannah Montana. I mean, those 3 characters aren't in here, but if you've ever listened to the podcast, you know that sometimes people don't get referenced by their real names. They are forever the character that they once played.
Well, didn't we say, like, what was it? Was it La Llorona? The Curse of La Llorona. Didn't we just call her Velma?
I don't remember. Maybe that's entirely possible. Actually, I know that I don't think we were talking about La Llorona. I think we were talking about Dodgeball, maybe, or another movie that she was in. But yes, we definitely referenced Ben Stiller's wife as Velma.
Yeah, like I thought we were talking about the Curse of La Llorona.
Not that the actress herself has a substantial film history behind herself or is a wonderful actress. She will forever be Velma or Ben Stiller's wife.
I prefer Velma.
Yeah. The movie, while we already talked about how it starts with a historical account of the Sanderson sisters, and what happened to them as kids and how they came to end up as witches. We didn't go into too much detail on that flashback sequence or how it actually happened. So I think a little information would be good, I guess, and what we did and did not like about that sequence. I guess I would start with the quick run through. So the Sanderson sisters grew up in Salem. They were kids. Winifred was to be married to some town dickhead that didn't want to marry her. She didn't want to marry him. She was obsessed with Billy, as we know from the first movie, if you've seen it.
They shared a kiss.
Yeah, they shared one kiss, and she was forever in.
Fuck the shit out of the horny sister. That's his jam.
They did. I mean, they did. They did hook up. Billy and Sarah were an item, which is why Winifred sewed his mouth shut and killed him. She poisoned him later in life. So this flashback, they end up telling the church to go F themselves and that she's not going to marry the boy, blah, blah, blah. So the reverend of the town decides that he's going to take Winnie's sisters from her. So Sarah and Mary get taken. And then Winifred had been gifted a spider by her sisters for her birthday just prior to this happening. And
biggest one they could find.
The spider ends up on the Reverend. He becomes distracted. Winifred and the sisters escape into the dark, forbidden forest, where they are greeted by a
bird lady,
a witch who transforms from a bird. And this witch, says that she's going to eat them because that's how she stays young and beautiful.
And then she smells the anger on Winnie.
Yeah, she gets real up close and personal with Winnie and smells the shit out of her. And then decides that Winnie will be a powerful witch who will bring Salem to be run by witches in the future. That is the flashback. That is, well, it's not even a flashback. That's how the movie starts. It's kind of a backstory more than a flashback.
And most of that is just like filled up with the church leader freaking out about a spider.
Yes.
And like the whole group is also freaking out about a spider.
Yeah, it's Satan's work.
And they're all, woo, where's the spider?
The things I did and didn't like about the backstory sequence,
fucking spider.
I did like the acting by the three girls who play the young Sandersons. I did not entirely care for... I didn't really care for the way they tried to use old-time speak. It wasn't accurate or well done, and I also didn't care for some of the over-the-top acting, especially the character of the Reverend. I also just kind of have a personal dislike for that guy, and not because he's a bad actor. It's kind of in the same vein as a previous episode where we were talking about child actors and playing a character that is terrible for too long, and then you just don't like them anymore because of that character, and you're just glad to never see them again. The guy that plays the Reverend Task was also he played a character by the name of Emmett in a TV show that I loved called Chuck. And Emmett was just annoying as hell. And spoiler alert, at one point he gets shot in the face. It's one of the only times you see a non-bad guy get murdered. And it was just brutal. And I was like, fuck yes. Thank you. He was that annoying that I was happy to see this just innocent guy get shot in the face. But
that's sweet of you.
I was happy to never have to see or hear him again. And then, they cast him in this movie. It's the first thing I've seen him in since. And I was just like, oh, good. It's Emmett. Yay.
Tony Hale?
Yeah.
No, from like Arrested Development.
Yes.
Okay.
Fun fact, I saw Arrested Development first. And then I saw Chuck. And immediately, I cannot get past his character in Chuck. Those are my takes, though. I liked the setup of how they came to be witches, and Winnie found out that she was a witch and all of that. I didn't mind that. I thought that was pretty on par with how every witch backstory goes. They go into a dark forbidden wood where
a bird lady shows up.
Yeah, a gigantic raven with red on it, which would never happen, turns into a woman who is a witch, and she's like, congratulations, you smell. And then, congrats, now you have powers.
The anger within you.
Let the hate flow. No, but for real, I thought the backstory was good. I just didn't care for some of the overacting or dialogue.
So anything about the Reverend?
Yes.
Okay. I don't have a problem. I mean, the scene with him and the spider, just it went on too long to me.
Yeah.
It was just like, don't touch me, don't touch me. But get the spider. It was just
Did you notice that the spider was on him the whole time in a different spot every single time?
Yeah.
I don't know if that was on purpose or just bad cuts, but it started on top of his hat, and then it was on his left shoulder blade, then it was on his right arm, and then it was on his right lapel.
Yeah. I mean, I did notice it, and maybe it was a gag that it just keeps moving. I just felt the spider thing went on too long. And
It did. It was like 5 or 7 minutes.
And the whole, he was like, after them. Wait, no. Get the spider off of me. So the entire village is trying to swat this spider off of him. And he's just like, oh.
Yeah.
I mean, it gives them a chance to get away. And then they come back and they read out a book. Well, they get book from the lady, the bird
That's
lady.
the introduction to the greatest character book.
And then they go back and they're like, first they're going, book doesn't like to do this particular spell. And they're like, okay, I promise I'll never make you do that spell.
Yeah, hardcore foreshadowing.
Right. And then they run and they go back home and they set the church home on fire. It's like a little fire. And they're like, it's the devil.
Well, I mean, he wasn't wrong. They conjured lightning that struck the house and started it on fire.
Technically, he's not wrong.
Yeah, by chance he wasn't wrong, but yeah, he definitely did not know that it was the work of evil.
I'm sorry. I think even then they knew that lightning just happens sometimes.
I mean, you would hope that they know that. You kind of have to, right? Like, how have you never seen a storm?
Yeah. And not every storm is the work of Satan, unless they think that. And maybe it's just because it struck the church and nothing else. But, I mean, that's kind of how lightning works.
Like, is there one place on Earth? There are places that it doesn't snow. There are places that it doesn't rain. Is there anywhere that you could live that you would never see lightning or a thundercloud?
It's definitely not Salem, Massachusetts.
No shit, right? It has never rained here. I'm completely beguiled.
So then that's the scene, and then it goes into present day where we meet our main characters. Like, we're introduced to the two parts of a once Three Amigos group.
Yeah, and then the third amigo comes up, and they're all disinterested in talking to each other. Her idiotic boyfriend, who's another character I could not stand.
Yeah, he was just too stupid.
He was entirely too stupid. There was one scene with him that I actually felt for because people can be that ignorant or naive.
Yeah. Oh, the part where they're actually going like, you didn't know, and he's like, no.
Yeah, exactly. That one scene where he talks about how he was just calling them out for whatever, and they're like, you didn't know that was making fun of people, and he's like, no, I literally thought I was just making conversation. There are so many people I need to apologize to.
Yeah, I mean, that was a good little scene. I liked that, but his entire character, other than that,
I could personally relate to and appreciate that. But the rest of his character and shit, like, idiotic. Also, I feel obligated to bring up vegan. The part where they're in class.
Oh, her little spell thing.
And she is just literally reciting vegan ingredients. I thought that was pretty hilarious. And the dude thinks that she cast a spell on him. And the part that
she said it in a low voice and was doing it fast.
She definitely did it as if she was casting a spell. It took me a second to realize that she was just listing things. But at first I thought she was speaking Spanish. True story. I did not understand. I mean, it's been a long time since I've been in school, so I don't know if maybe this is how school works now. But they got detentions and sent to the principal's office just for that.
Got sent to the principal's office and got Saturday detention.
When you can't give a Saturday detention. It's not a thing. Teachers aren't there on Saturday. They're not coming in for you to have a detention. B, There were so many disruptions. I once in school had an all-out backyard-style wrestling match with a classmate mid-class. We were hitting each other with chairs and throwing each other across the room, and it was hilarious. We did get sent to the principal's office and receive punishments for that, but that's fair, you know? Like, we were a huge disruption. This, not so much. The guy overreacts to something stupid, and we had plenty of that when I was in school, where people would be disruptive. Nobody was sent to the principal's office. Nobody received detention, let alone on a Saturday. They can't do that. Teachers are union. You are not able to make them come in on a Saturday. You are also not able to make students come in on a Saturday. Maybe, I don't know, in the fucking 60s or 70s. I don't know when that kind of thing stopped or when the teachers union formed. I am not up to speed on that information. So, but I do know that it's not happening now.
But it could have been like just ended if the girlfriend would have went like it was just a joke, and but she goes, well, it did sound like you said Satan. Instead of going like, there's so many different ways that you could have handled it. But these girls, they used to be really good friends, and like when they were like younger.
Yeah,
before she got a
felt
boyfriend.
like the what's the word I'm looking for? The dynamic. I felt like the dynamic between the girls was weird, you know, but I mean, they're teenage girls, so
yeah,
it's possible that that's absolute reality for teenage girls. She's sticking up for her boyfriend, and she is ignoring things she knows to be true in lieu of that relationship, and yet she's excited and disappointed later to get called by her and not be able to hear her and stuff. And it was just weird. I was like, what is it? Do you care about her and support her, or do you fucking not and ignore her? Because why are you doing both?
They answer that later though, but see,
no, they didn't answer it because that doesn't change the dynamic. No,
but it doesn't even explain it either. Just like
it explains the rift between them. It doesn't explain like why she's being both, like why she cares and why she's being a dick.
Because her boyfriend is a little slow.
I mean, yeah, he's fuck, man.
I mean, she's probably sticking up for the one that can't defend himself.
And I mean, from there, you know, after school, there's a little carnival thing they pass through there. You meet one of the girls' dads, who is a descendant of the Reverend from the beginning of the movie. He is also the mayor of the town now. And the girls... He
still thinks they're still all friends. And he's like the nicest guy ever.
Unimportant, but yes, facts.
I mean, it is important because, like...
It's not.
Kind of showing... It is. It's showing that, like, the descendant was this terrible guy, and they're still going after the bloodline, even though, like, he's like,
we're not even to the part about them going after the bloodline.
That's the point of the thing.
The introduction to him is important, sure. The fact that he thinks the girls are friends, I don't find to be important.
Oh no, like that, it kind of shows like the dynamic between the girls, because the father doesn't even know, but the other parents are always going, we miss her and all that shit.
Yeah, I guess the dad is naive, and the girl has not told her dad that they don't talk anymore, I guess. Yes. That's...
Or probably doesn't know she has a boyfriend either.
He doesn't. We find that out later. He also doesn't know who she's hanging around with and all that stuff. But that is to come later in the episode, or movie, I should say. This is the episode. That is the film. So the girls go to a magic shop where we're introduced to Gilbert the Great. He runs a magic shop that is based in the Sanderson sisters' family home, and he puts on a production of I don't know, a history of the Sandersons and Salem, and his account that he retells, but you don't know is his own personal account because he doesn't say it yet. Where the Sandersons were believed to have been seen in 1993 flying through the sky when they returned. Somebody lit a black flame candle. Again, Little foreshadowing, little backstory, kind of linking the first movie to this one. And the girls get some stones and a candle to go perform a ritual that they did every single year for the main character's birthday.
Yeah.
So
which was the three of them until the other one got a boyfriend.
Yeah, originally the three, and now just the two. They go to the woods where they light the candle, which at first
the candle's a gift from Gilbert.
Yes.
Oh.
Gilbert gifts the candle. I did not say that. I did say they picked it up. I didn't say that Gilbert specifically gives her this candle. So they go to the woods. They sit. They do their ritual. They light the candle. The candle starts sparking. I thought Gilbert gave it to her as a gag, and it was just a sparkler inside of a candle. And then the candle goes out because they thought it was going to start a forest fire. Smart. And then it relights itself. So here is where I kind of had another problem. Did she light the black flame candle? No. She lit a candle and put it out before the flame turned black. The black flame candle lit itself. Can a black flame candle be a virgin? I guess yes. All right. So then the earth shakes, the ground splits, the Sanderson sisters appear, which...
And they're given a musical number.
I don't know. I don't know why I thought this. In this, it shows them breaking into beams of light later when they recount. Well, actually, I think it did it at the gift shop, the magic store, just prior to this. The beams of light and them disintegrating. I thought they turned to stone. Didn't Winifred turn to stone?
I don't really. I think they exploded in light.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I thought the sisters exploded into light, but I thought Winifred turned to stone. I could be wrong. I might be wrong. There's a fair chance. Either way, right? So yeah, the sisters show up and then they have this hot musical number that they do, and then the girls actually do what everybody's thinking and ask who they're performing for. I was thinking it the whole time, like, why? How do you come back from the dead after 26 years and the first thing you do is break into a fucking Broadway play?
Yeah.
I mean, whatever. Cool. And then Mary, one of the sisters.
One popular scene from the first one, and where they sang, so now they got to sing more.
Yeah. They did sing one song in the first movie.
Yeah, but that was a very popular scene.
That's not true. They had one performance type song. Sarah Jessica Parker actually sang the Come Little Children song. So,
yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, I do. I was disagreeing with myself on my own statement. So Mary, the one sister, pops up behind them and says, "You," and then they take the girls. The girls convince them that they don't have to eat children anymore to stay young and that they're actually 40-year-old witches and not teenagers, and convince them that Walgreens sells the souls of children put into lotions, at which point, they all take a journey to Walgreens and proceed to
complete sense to me.
Eat lotions.
Yeah, it makes complete sense to me where, they don't know what Walgreens is.
No, and it does say youth. I mean, it was a smart play. So
yeah, these kids are smart. They're using the time period against them, which an older it ends up just being a fish out of water story for the witches for a little bit. And while funny, you could understand these kids are tricking them because they know they don't understand. And I don't think another group of kids would have in the first one, would they trick them with the headlights?
Yeah,
thinking the sun, but they'd never really went I am also one. Let me help you, just to kind of wait it out. They kind of just run. These ones are gonna outsmart these witches.
Yeah. They I think they did a good job with that narratively. Yeah. From there, everything goes to shit. The movie is awful, and the end. No, I'm just kidding. They realize they're being duped. One of the things that I did find hilarious, and I actually enjoyed, was when they realize they're being duped and the girls flee the store, they take to their brooms And in the original, I believe Winifred had a broom, Mary might have had a broom, Sarah Jessica Parker was on a vacuum.
Yeah.
And in this one, Winifred got a broom, Sarah Jessica Parker, or Sarah,
Got a Swiffer.
got one of those electric Swiffer mops, and Mary gets 2 Roombas, which I thought was just hilarious. I don't know why I thought it was so funny, but I did enjoy that. And they didn't just do that for a bit. They end up
stuck with it,
foreshadowing the Roomba's hatred for debris on the ground. And later it comes into play for the sisters. And I thought the gag was good, and I thought the use of it as a plot device was even smarter. So, I mean, I don't know, like saying all of this stuff, it's like, I don't get why people are shitting on this movie so hard. It's not poorly done. It's just cheesy, but so was the first one.
Yeah. Or did you notice that Mary's like smile switches sides?
No.
Yeah, it does. And they it's because the actress, it was a little bit more comfortable to do it from the other side now. But in the movie they have Winifred smack her and it moves the smile and it sticks.
No, I didn't notice that at all. That's great.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
Huh. Might have to watch it again. So then there's a whole bunch of stuff that happens that's not really plot specific. It's them flying around. It's the girls running away, blah, blah, blah. And then we end up back at the magic shop where the girls try to warn Gilbert and tell him that the sisters are back. And he gets really excited. And then the girl notices that Book is awake. And he gets even more excited, pulls the book out, opens it. A beam of light goes into the air. The sisters show up. Gilbert informs everybody that he saw the sisters in 1993 on Halloween night after a bunch of bullies stole his candy, and he followed them to the graveyard where the climax of the first movie takes place and watched their demise and waited forever to bring them back. Book taught him how to make a black flame candle, so he did, which he gifted to the main character and had her light so that they could come back. And then there's more dialogue and stuff, and the sisters lock the 2 main girls from this movie in the cellar of their old house, which Gilbert didn't even know was there. And they cast a spell on it so that they can't get out or be seen or heard. And they tell Gilbert to fetch their hourglass, which he tries to play off that he doesn't have, but he does. And when they threaten him with his life, he grabs the hourglass, gives it to them. They cast a curse on Gilbert, tying it to the hourglass, informing him that he must perform several tasks for them and get all of the ingredients needed for them to perform the one spell that Winifred promised she would never do, the Magica Maxima, I think it's called, where she will become the most powerful witch to have ever lived. And Gilbert, he's like, all right, cool. I'm going to do that, I guess. Otherwise, he dies by sunrise. So, it's a thing. And then, Winifred smacks Book around a little bit because Book isn't having the whole spell thing. He doesn't like that spell. He doesn't want to do it. Book sheds a tear. It is literally an Oscar moment. And then...
sheds a couple of tears.
He starts sweating when he's on the shelf. I thought that was pretty good, too.
Yeah, you remember, like...
at the end of the movie when he cries?
Yeah.
Book, man. Book gets the Oscar. Everybody did an okay job in the movie, but Book was hell yeah. You know what else is kind of cool? In the original, it's practical. It's a physical book with a motorized eye inside of it because it was easy to hide that inside of that thick-ass book. And in this one, it's completely CGI. Well, the eye and the book scenes where they're not holding it, I should say. Some of it is still a practical effect when they physically are holding the book or when it's closed and the eye is closed. Stuff like that. Practical book, eye open, CGI. Close-ups, CGI. And I thought that lent itself to them giving more characteristics to the book. Like you can see the anxiety and fear in his eye when he's being looked for, when he's sweating, when he cries. And they did a really good job on the CGI of that book. It looks wonderful. But anyway.
Other than the flying scenes.
Yeah, the CGI for the flying scenes for everybody was just meh. This run
Especially
through of
when
this
the
movie is
call
taking
book
too
and
long.
is it?
Yeah, for 42 minutes, recapping an entire movie, an hour and 45-minute movie.
Uh-huh. I mean, that's what we used to do.
I know it's too long. It's too much. It's too much. Eh.
It's fine.
So the sisters take off. They go to find something. Gilbert takes off. He goes to find everything. And the girls are trapped in the cellar. Oh, the Sanderson sisters leave to find the Reverend because they need the blood of their enemy. And since the Reverend is dead, his bloodline is going to have to suffice. So they leave to go find the Reverend. The girls, whom are trapped in the basement, decide that they're going to try and get out, but they can't. There's no stairs. Nobody can hear them through the window. They decide to call their once friend, but the spell also affects cellular. The spell also affects cellular devices, so the friend can neither hear nor see them.
Yeah.
And
She was all sad and shit.
yeah, she was really disappointed. She's like, "Oh, it's a butt dial," which is what I don't get. Like, you're being a dick to her the whole time, and then you're upset that she wasn't there when she called. I don't get it. Whatever.
Well, she doesn't think she's being a dick.
Sanderson sisters go to a carnival. No, I didn't say she thinks she's being a dick. I said she was a dick. She was a dick to the two girls.
Yeah, but she doesn't think she is. She's not purposely being a dick. She thinks they're the ones being dicks.
That doesn't change the fact that she's being a dick.
Yeah, but why would that change her mind? Be like, well, why would I be disappointed? She doesn't think she's the one being a dick, so of course she'd still be disappointed.
I don't know. I guess. Whatever. It's neither here nor there. You make a valid point, but I still don't understand it. The Sanderson sisters end up at the town carnival, and they go up on stage after, wandering through the carnival and seeing a bunch of things. There's a bunch of people they run into that are impressed with their look or dressed as witches themselves. It's a whole thing. It's a fun little scene. Right? Yes. It's not just a drag show, because some of them up there are actually women dressed as the Sanderson sisters. It's a costume contest for Sanderson sister lookalikes. None of them look like the Sanderson sisters. Least of all, the winners, who were teenage girls dressed as slutty Sanderson sisters.
Oh, yeah, I remember that, yeah.
And they win the contest, at which point Winifred is like, fuck no. And she grabs the award and throws it at one of the judges.
Dressed up like a reverend.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. And
then there's another musical number.
Yep, we break into another song and dance. They sing the song.
This one makes more sense because it's the hypnotizing one that they do in the first one. It's just a different song.
Yeah, in the first one, it's I Put a Spell on You. And in the second one, they do One Way or Another, which it fits the narrative. They're looking for the Reverend, so they're enchanting the audience to find the Reverend, who happens to be at the carnival, just trying to get a caramel apple that he won't stop talking about the entire movie. It's the one thing on his mind are these candy apples from a specific vendor, Sandy.
Yeah, he's super excited about it.
And while he is in line, and this whole performance is going on right next to him that he does not hear nor see, the girls are in the cellar still, but they realize that they were also gifted Angelica leaves by Gilbert while at the magic shop, which break curses, so they burn the leaves in hope that it will break the curse.
That one's not necessarily a gift, though. That one's like one of those take one things on the counter.
Yeah, I suppose. Well, it's gifted. I mean, it just wasn't, it's not the same level of gift as the black flame candle. But I digress. The girls do this, at which point you see the main character's hand glow blue, and you realize she is, in fact, a witch. She doesn't know it yet. Her friend doesn't know it yet. We know it because we saw it. They have their eyes closed in this scene. It makes sense. It works. It's not like they're blind. But she actually broke the curse, not the Angelica leaves or the combination of the two. Who knows? So they escape the cellar. They call the mayor. They tell him that the Sanderson sisters are back, and he's like, what? And instead, they tell him that his daughter is having a party, and there are boys at his house.
Yeah.
And then,
they tried calling her first. But
they did, but that was from the cellar, and they couldn't hear the reception.
No, they try again when they get out, and she doesn't answer. So they're like, fuck, we have to do this. And they call the dad going, hey, she's throwing a party.
Oh.
And he's like, what?
I forgot that they tried to call her again. My bad. But yeah, so the dad leaves the carnival.
Was a last case scenario, and they had to do it.
Yeah. See, they're not dicks. Dad leaves carnival, goes to the house. Girl gets in trouble. The girls take Gilbert's tour bus and try to also go to his house. The Sanderson sisters find the stupid boyfriend because they're wondering where they would find somebody dumb enough to lead them straight to the mayor's house. And
even have an entire group of people hypnotized searching for the mayor.
Yeah.
They find the one stupid person that's going to be running there after seeing the witches.
They actually reference him as the town idiot.
Yeah, I mean,
he definitely is. There's no way anybody in that town is as stupid as him.
He's a football player, right? Like, not
yeah,
just
he is
Halloween.
A football player.
Like, and so he probably just gets hit in the head way too many times.
I don't know, man. I've been hit in the head a lot. Anyway, this dude,
my point exactly,
comes running down the street, hardy har, and Sanderson sisters in tow. As the girls are on the doorstep trying to warn their friend about the Sanderson sisters being back and after her father's blood, her father has already left to go back to the carnival to get his candy apple. The girl is cleaning up after the party. As they're outside talking about all of this stuff happening, the Sanderson sisters and the idiot come barreling down the street, him running, them flying. There's a little game of hide and go seek in the house, Scooby-Doo-esque, if you will. And they end up finding them.
They're afraid of Alexa.
Yeah, there's a woman trapped in this little box. Yes. Yeah, there's an Alexa. That was actually kind of funny too.
Yeah.
They find the girls in the garage.
Scared, though.
And she comes out and tells them that one of the ingredients they needed for the spell doesn't exist anymore, and the last remaining bits of its juices are in this water bottle in her hand. She threatens the sisters that she will drink it if they don't agree to let her and her friends leave unharmed. And then the two girls that they haven't found yet jump out of different corners of the room. One's in like a cabinet, one's behind some shit. Nobody cares. They circle them with salt, trapping the witches in the garage. And the sisters are like, how dare you? And it's a whole thing, blah, blah. We go back outside. The girls are all talking about how the Sanderson sisters are there. This is where we have the narrative with the boyfriend that we were talking about previously, where he realizes that he's been a total douchebag to everybody, and he was unaware, and he says he needs to apologize to people. At which point, the daughter of the mayor, well, I don't know why I just phrased it that way. At which point, the mayor himself comes back to the house, opens the garage, sees the Sanderson sisters, has a dialogue with the girls about how he did not get his candy apple, and he ended up going to the Walgreens, who didn't have their lights on because the Sanderson sisters blew it out, and got some generic-ass candy apple that he is not thrilled about eating, but he is going to.
Yeah.
And then the girls leave. Well, they don't leave, they just leave the front of the yard and go back by the bus and have a conversation. And this is where the Roombas come in to save the Sanderson sisters. They come creeping up the driveway, and they end up sweeping up the salt circle. And then they kidnap the mayor's daughter, at which point the girls take off on foot following them. Gilbert is walking around with... I actually skipped over Gilbert this entire time.
All through this time, Gilbert has been with Billy, and because he needs the head of a lover.
So he dug up Billy.
Which would have to be Billy. And they're going, and he goes, I'm going to try to stop the Sanderson sisters, lies to Billy, and has Billy help him before taking his head.
Yep. So Gilbert has all of the ingredients and Billy's head. Billy's body shows up at the house and scares the stupid boyfriend, who passes out. The girls wind up at the woods where the Sanderson sisters arrive with the mayor's daughter. And Gilbert is at an altar with Billy's head, witch's butter, some berry juice, just all of the things they need except for the blood, which they then nick the daughter's throat, take her blood, throw it into the altar, start chanting the spell.
Well, they blow Gilbert like miles away.
They hit Gilbert. Gilbert goes into the woods.
And the girls are like, should we? And they're like, nah, let's do this one. Let's go save her instead.
Yeah, it's like, fuck Gilbert. He did this whole shit.
Yeah, but they launch him. Like, it's not a
Yeah,
It's
no,
almost like a cartoon launch.
it's like if you've ever seen Predator, when the Predator hits Arnold Schwarzenegger and he goes flying across the woods. Imagine that times 10.
Well, it's kind of like like an old Batman series with the where they set up those jump pads and like they'll step on it and it goes.
Yeah, very cartoonesque.
So they go and they untie the girl and they try to stop the sisters and the one girl who's the witch of the friend group. She learns that she could shoot little lightning bolts out of her fingers, and then the sisters also learned they could also shoot lightning bolts out of their fingers, and they're like, pew, 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 pew.
I really liked that they had Mary going pew pew, like actually saying pew pew. Like she would not know that that's a thing. Guns were not a thing in her lifetime. Not even in the first movie. Nobody had a gun. They had muskets. All right, they had powder front load muskets while she was alive, and they didn't have a lot. You don't even see one in Salem back then. Not in the first movie. Not in this one. Like, never. I don't know if anybody in that village had a musket. I'm sure one of them did, if not a few. But muskets weren't all that, no, not everybody had a musket. There wasn't a fucking not Ace Hardware, a Fleet Farm or something selling hunting goods. But so, yeah, she's pew-pewing and shooting finger gun lightnings, and it's great. I loved that. I mean, it made no sense that she was doing the pew-pew, but it was fucking hilarious.
Well, the sisters just ended up getting powers, and they didn't know they had them, so they're just having fun, like going pew pew pew.
Yeah, it was. And
the main sister's like, stop it.
It was good. Then they shock the main character repeatedly, and there's nothing she could do about it. She's not powerful enough to stop them, and then she's by herself. Her friends chime in and say she has her own coven and start throwing acorns at the Sanderson sisters.
Yeah, and rocks, I believe.
I think there was one rock and maybe a few, but yeah, you can see them. It actually does a close-up B-roll of them grabbing pine cones.
Yeah, it's rocks and pine cones and shit like that.
Yeah. And then they run away. The Sanderson sisters show up to stop them from running. And the girl who has just found out she's a witch and has powers summons a force field around them. They find out that they're stronger together, and they hold hands and make the force field stronger. And the sisters are like, well, fuck you guys. We're going to finish the spell. Book has switched teams. He is now with the good girls, if you want to call them that, because the main witch of the three main characters convinced Book that he didn't want to do the spell and he could choose between Winifred and herself. So he chose to not be part of Winifred's life anymore and help her do this spell. He shows the good witch that the spell being cast takes what you love most away from you. So
yeah, which you'd think Winnie would have read that. I mean, she's looked at the spell before.
She skipped right over it. She said, who cares? It actually shows her reading it and saying that she didn't care about the warning. So she's just like, fuck that warning. The warning was very important. They go and they finish the spell, and she gets confronted again by the three girls, at which point Sarah and Mary start dissolving into nothing again. It's really drawn out.
Like the Thanos snap, but longer.
Yeah, much longer. And Winifred decides that life isn't worth living without her sisters, and had she known that that was the price she would pay, she wouldn't have done it.
And then in a really longer, drawn-out fucking, like, that scene was, like, one of the most irritating things, at least to me, because she was just like,
Yeah, they really drew it out. And then she asks Book if he would help her one last time for old time's sake. And Book decides to show the girl a spell that will rejoin what is meant to be together. And Winifred asks if it's going to bring her sisters back after the spell is performed. And she says, no, the spell does not bring them back. It sends you to them. So in a much longer drawn out fashion than the first Thanos snap, Winifred starts to disappear and has a little monologue about goodbye, cruel world.
And the importance of sisterhoods and how the good witches they have what they need, and how she's learned a lesson, and how and then Book cries, and then
Yep. And then she just poofs. And then Gilbert shows up with Billy's body and he's like, I will stop you. And he's informed that they're gone already. And he's like, oh, good. I had no idea what I was going to do. I was back there thinking, like, do I come in hot or, should I just creep in? Yeah, Billy rejoins his body with his head. And then he also gets to lay to rest because the demise of the witches broke all of their curses. The three girls go about their merry way to hang out and be friends again.
and then a bird flies towards him.
And then, yeah, the bird from the beginning, the witch from the beginning that is a bird flies by. And then we
get a music video.
We get credits and a recording of the music that the three sisters sang when they came back for the first time in this movie. And then at the end of the credits, we get to see Gilbert's cat walking through the gift shop, a.k.a. the Sanderson sisters' home.
Mm-hmm.
And he climbs up onto a shelf where it shows a second black flame candle.
Dun, dun, dun.
And that, my friends, is the entire run-through of
Hocus Pocus 2.
Hocus Pocus. The things I did not like, I already said, so I don't have to go through it again. It was just some of the dialogue, some of the overacting.
Yeah.
I pretty much, like, doing the run-through, just notated the stuff that I really appreciated and found to be comical and funny.
I think a lot of the really overacting could have been done better. Not like better as an act, but like the duration of it.
Yeah.
If you would have shortened it.
I think the drawing it out and
annoying,
staying focused on it for too long added to the irritation. Like a lot of that stuff when people overact and shit, it's the cutting away from it that makes it pop and makes it fit. Like Jim Carrey is famous for it, and the cuts sell it. And there are a lot of over-embellished, overacted scenes in a lot of comedies that work because they don't linger too long. Or if they do linger, it adds to it. It doesn't take away from it. Like there are scenes like with Leslie Nielsen in Naked Gun or Airplane or other movies where something will be over the top, heavily embellished and shit, and it'll linger for a minute, but the camera starts like panning and focusing on something off subject, and it adds to the humor in it. Or if it doesn't do that, it just cuts away and goes to something else. So you're not sitting there staring at somebody overacting and heavily embellishing shit that is supposed to be done for comical value for way too long.
A lot of the times this movie drawed something out. It wasn't for comic purposes. Well, at least not the spider, but a lot of like the other was like for dramatic purposes, like the big speech.
Yeah. They could have done better on that. I agree. All in all, though,
my opinion.
I think, again, I mean, we've said it multiple times. I think the movie is good. I think it's worth watching. I think it fits the tone of Hocus Pocus very well. I don't think it is a bludgeon to the cult status or appreciation of the original at all, which a lot of people keep saying. I don't think it negatively affects the first movie at all. Anyway.
No. There is a book that I have not read.
Yeah.
And if you guys want to read that, I mean, go ahead. I'm guessing it's a little bit different.
I'm sure it is.
This is like the book in movie form. I think it's its own thing.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I own it. I have not read it. I only bought it because I figured if the book sales went well, they would get the idea that they should make a second movie, and people like myself have wanted a sequel to Hocus Pocus for about 26 years. So
I never gave a fuck about a sequel. Some movies don't need them. I mean, I'm not like upset this exists. I'm not I don't care that it exists. It wasn't a bad movie. It's not. I don't think I'd watch it every Halloween or anything.
No.
I don't watch the original every Halloween either, so.
Me neither. I mean, I've historically watched it around Halloween time, but I don't watch it every Halloween. I have
I'm-
I have
know
my
people
movies that
do.
I do watch every Halloween, but it's not one of them.
I know a lot of people that do, and I'm sure those people will probably like the sequel. And if you're like, oh, this is destroying the,
Yeah, you know what? If you
I don't think
watch
you understand
or
the
listened
first one.
rather, because even if you watch this on YouTube, due to some changes in my bedroom slash studio, I have stopped recording my own self on video, and due to some changes in Sid's situation, he has requested to not be on video. So even if you're on YouTube right now, you are literally just listening to this. But if you are listening to this on YouTube, go ahead and leave a comment down in the comments section about what you do or do not like, or both. Let us know what your thoughts of Hocus Pocus 2 were.
And keep it civil.
I mean, you can say whatever you want. YouTube's got a great algorithm. If you say some stuff that's not allowed, it's just going to not allow it. Also, I mean, it'll pop things up for us to monitor. So,
Yeah.
and I'm not going to lie, we don't do a lot of monitoring of the YouTube channel. So if you say some stuff that's got to be allowed, more likely than not, it's going to not be allowed automatically because we're not going to look at it. At least not right
Well,
away.
man, just like if you're gonna like argue with other people, keep it at a
Yeah, fight amongst yourselves. Have
yeah.
at it.
Just try to be respectful as much as you can. I understand debates and shit, but
And,
I mean, it's a movie, and it didn't ruin your childhood, so you could cool your jets a bit.
Yeah, and if it did ruin your childhood, I want you to tell me how.
Yeah.
Unless you're a 4-year-old right now and this movie gave you nightmares that you'll never get over, tell me how this
I would hope
ruined
there's
your
not a
life.
4-year-old listening.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, with that, I think we will leave you to yourselves. I hope you enjoyed the movie and the episode, and I look forward to reading all of your hateful comments.
Yeah, be as hateful as you want.
Yeah, let's get there. Until next time, I'm Jeff, aka Chief
Right.
Bird.
Keith Bird.
And that other guy over there has been Sid.
Yeah, I'm Sid, and I'm a slippery cannibal.
Yeah, we will catch you in the next episode where we go into great detail about things we are looking forward to this Halloween spooky season that I'm going to have to edit and get up real quick. All right? Pieces.
Right.